Hey, good afternoon, all. Welcome to the Common Good Podcast, 2024 edition. A little late to the party around here. It's not only is it not New Year's Day,
New year, new time.
at least for today. We had to run a little bit late today. I'll tell you why in a minute. That'll be a fun story on why we're not in the morning where we normally get to say good morning, everyone. But welcome to the Common Good Podcast. Good to have you all aboard. 2024 Common Good Politics edition. Hey, happy 2024, Rob. How did you spend it? How did you spend your final days of 2023?
Well, my final hours of 2023 were spent asleep. I think I was in bed by 9:30, 10.
Wow.
And yeah, it's like a 1 second holiday. It's not a.
What did you have for your last supper of 2023?
Shrimp cocktail.
Wow, shrimp cocktail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like because it was a New Year or because it was a celebration, or you just you're just a shrimp cocktail guy?
No, Vanessa made some shrimp cocktail. It was fantastic. We had a good time.
She made it.
Hung out and played some Dutch Blitz and
okay.
Yeah, which I'm remarkably good at. And
is that a card game or a?
Yeah, it's a card game.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really, really good at it. So
really, have you thought about going pro?
I have.
Remember when we were kids? You think about going pro?
Yeah.
He's thinking about going pro. It's such a funny phrase. Go pro. I haven't heard of. I mean, the GoPro camera. No, I haven't thought of going pro in anything in a long time. I'm thinking about going pro in Dutch Blitz. You could probably be an international leader in short order. It's got to be a small group of people whose full-time occupation.
But the people that are professional Dutch Blitz players are probably just absolutely amazing. Yeah,
I bet they hit you like a Dutch Blitz.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We drove. We, meaning my wife and I, Shelly Pagitt. She's more than just my wife. She's an autonomous individual with a name and a history and a future that has nothing to do with me.
An identity outside of you.
Yeah. But my wife and I call her Shelly. We flew to California, got inside the vehicle that is now the Vote Common Good Greater Things touring vehicle, a large 40-foot long, 10-foot wide rolling house of thunder. And it's we drove that thing back from Northern California to here in Minneapolis, which was an eventful trip down through Palm Springs and Joshua Tree and through Kansas and New Mexico. Best state in the country to look at in my book. I mean,
New Mexico.
Big ocean guy, but New Mexico just hands down best.
Yeah.
Best.
Yep.
And had a lot of help along the way. Here was a end of 2023 learning for me. We left on Christmas Day. We got back on New Year's Eve. So like
you left on Christmas Day?
Yeah, of course. Not morning. We're civilized Christians, of course. We didn't leave Christmas morning. I mean, flight was supposed to leave at 11:30, left at 12:30, but it was delayed. So it saved us. We flew out Christmas Day. I had a great lunch with friends, and then saw our children that live out there. Anyway, it was excellent. And as you know, Rob, and I want to tell other people who are listening how true this is. All around this country, there are people who totally oppose the politics that we espouse here. We probably would not agree with these people on many cultural issues that really matter.
Mm-hmm.
But they just save your ass time and time again on the road. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
It is disproportionately supported by people that don't hold our political views. Somehow between cities and along the road, it's truck stops and truckers and police officers, state troopers, people at the toll booths. I mean, just all around. You kind of pick it up, the vibe. But man, just the best. Just unbelievable. We had some repairs that had to be done on New Year's Eve in the RV. Had to call a mobile unit Sunday morning, 9:30 in the morning. Jason came out and laid under that RV and got stuff all over him and was freezing cold and fixed it up right and had to make a funnel out of a cardboard box. I'm not even kidding. We're going to put up a whole video about this. I said, hey, why don't I run over to that Pilot gas station thing and get a funnel? He goes, I got it. because the funnel broke. Our funnel broke.
Yeah,
It's out of
it
cardboard box.
reminds me of the time that we tried to have a whole uh, air cooling system made out of garbage cans and zip
Yeah.
ties.
Yeah, yeah, cut garbage
Mhm.
cans. I mean, just the stuff you do,
Yeah.
right, when
Oh
you're
yeah.
living on the
Whatever it takes.
road.
Yeah.
And, and Jason then finally said to us, because we're pulling our old trailer from 2018, the
Mm,
trailer that we left in California, just gave to somebody else. They
yeah.
gave it back. It still has half of our branding on one side. And so it says faith to fear, or faith not fear, something like this. Oh, common good. I think I said, hey, after we're all done, we'd spent 2.5 hours together. He just worked so hard, and he said, "So you guys like a faith group or something?" I said, "Yeah, kind of. We're like a faith group and political group, trying to call people to the common good." Because I have two answers to people when they say, "What do you do?" I'm like,
Oh yeah.
we try to get religious people to do the right thing and stop voting for Donald Trump, or we try to make the common good people's voting criteria. Little just
Mhm.
kind of keeping it between the lines. Keeping it rolling.
Yep.
And Jason, standing inside the Rolling House of Thunder, said to us, "Well, yeah, I mean, don't we all need that little common good? Right now, the common good is getting back to what the founding fathers wanted." Like he
Oh
went
no.
just full on
Oh no.
Vivek, just full on
Oh no.
1776. I said, "Well, have a great trip. Hope it all works out." It's just the best. Wrote him a great
Yeah.
review, and just I couldn't recommend the guy higher. If I had to hire someone to do something,
Yeah.
and you needed someone who, in his
That's
words,
awesome.
and I have a video, I'll share it sometime. He says, "Oh, I'm the kind of guy that'll lick the dipstick clean," and he's not. That's not a metaphor. When he was making the funnel out of the box, he said, "I'll lick the dipstick clean if he had to check that oil."
Whatever
to,
it takes.
to check that
Jason is
oil.
a whatever it takes kind of person.
And I know this to be true because when we had to put some additive, diesel non-gelling additive into the fuel filters, had to be changed. He was taking the top off, and when you pull the top off, then you get that little foil
Yeah.
piece that's over it. And
Oh,
some of the
so
foil
annoying.
pieces you push in, and some of the foil pieces you pull out. Right? We all know how
Mhm.
that goes.
Yeah.
This was the kinds you have to pull out. So he was slipping off of his fingers because they were full
Mhm.
of diesel and stuff. So he grabs it with his teeth
Oh.
and rips it off, and then with his big beard goes, "Ah, tasty." He's got diesel additive in his beard and
You
licks
get
it
a
off.
you get a mouthful.
Licks it off with his tongue. Incredible. Just, but amazing people. And I just gather all
So
them up, all their good
so
energy, all their
yep.
difference of opinion, and it's all part of this big tour because we're taking off next week. We're going to go to North Carolina, and then we hit Iowa. We're going to go take on Trump in Iowa on the 14th in Cherokee, Iowa, if anyone wants to join us. Anyway, we're getting
Yeah.
back on the road.
I got my ticket.
All right. You got a ticket to ride, baby. You got a ticket
Yeah.
to ride. So yeah,
Yeah.
that was our holiday week. So, but today, the reason we started late is because I had to take that very big 40-foot long, 10-foot wide bus over to these fine gentlemen over at brand something. They wrap the vehicle. These two guys will personally wrap this vehicle. So when you
Nice.
see the Vote Common Good machine that is wrapped, it was done by these two cats right here. And this
Yep.
is a picture of what it's going to say on it: faith, hope, and love, supporting democracy for all, confronting Christian nationalism for the common good on one side, and resisting insurrections for a more perfect union on the other side. And Vote Common Good logos and all that. And that thing is going to thunder down the road. You can see my signature right there. I had to sign the approval for the wrap, and they've started on it this morning. So that's why we had to start late, because something that important would
It's
make
amazing.
us set this aside. And Jim Eaton asks if this vehicle has air brakes. Yes, Jim, this is an air brake. This is an air brake
Mhm.
vehicle. Yeah, the whole dealio. So
Am I
Jim,
gonna
we're
have to
gonna
drive this thing?
you're gonna have to probably a little bit,
Oh,
probably a little
yeah.
bit, just a little bit, just a couple
Okay.
hours.
Maybe could we get it going down the highway and then, like, switch
Sweet,
places with somebody in the, driver's
super
seat?
super easy to drive. I will tell you, especially
Okay.
if it's highway driving. Just
Okay.
remarkably straightforward. I mean, you almost couldn't think you could crash it into anything, let alone twice. It's an insider joke that on the We the People ride, we crashed multiple vehicles, none of them being bicycles, all of them being trailers, trucks, and RVs. We
Well,
crashed
listen,
those.
I only dented the little case that goes around the wheel of the trailer. That was all that I did.
Yeah, sure. That's yeah. And somebody just only crushed a door on another thing. I mean, not really the RV, just the door. Yep. So anyway,
This is
get
gonna
it
make
out on the road.
this is gonna make me remember. We were in an RV park in Georgia, maybe.
Yeah.
I can't remember where we were. And maybe it wasn't Georgia. Maybe it was Louisiana or something. And I've got this great video of one of our partners in crime trying to flatten down the side panel of the RV
Yeah.
that had been crushed, and he was jumping on it in an attempt to flatten it out. And one of my favorite videos. So
So
great.
good. So good. So much of it so
Didn't
good.
work.
Hey,
Didn't work.
so we don't tell you all of this so you think we have exciting lives. We tell you all of this so you will know what's included in the invitation when we say we want you to join us on the road. We're going to be going around this country.
Yeah.
Jim Eaton in the conversation here on YouTube. It's in California. Jim, we're coming to California. So maybe you need to jump on with us. The squirrely prepper lifestyle. I don't know where you are, but I see you in the chat. Maybe you want to join us. Anybody listening on the podcast, we are serious as can be. We spent
Absolutely.
a lot of time, first off, North Carolina, then Iowa, going to be down in Arizona and California. We're going to find our way over to Georgia and Pennsylvania and Wisconsin and Michigan and probably some other places. So hitting the road, doing rally events, all kinds of stuff. The former president and current lead insurrectionist, Donald Trump, is going to be in Iowa a week from Sunday. And we're going to roll up on them with that big bus of ours and put it out front and talk to people and get in the news. And just, it's the best. So if you can ever get with us along this way, if not, keep up on social media. We'll keep it on YouTube. We'll keep it on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, all the other places, what we're up to. But we want you to know that we do this with you, for you, and as you.
Yeah.
So,
Some of our favorite people in the world are people who just accepted the invitation to get on the bus and are now like dear friends because we've traveled around the country together.
yeah.
So it sounds like I just get on a bus and go. Yeah, just get on a bus and
Yeah,
go. Come on, we'll have a
just
good
leave it all
time.
behind. Yeah, come follow me, Jesus said. And like us, we're like, just get on the bus. It's like that.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
go.
yeah.
Give it all up. Leave it all behind.
I'd say
Hey,
our burden is light, but I'm not so sure.
I'm not sure. You may have to jump on a side panel of a door. Hey, Rob, can you tell anything different about me today? Can you tell that I'm wearing a new hat?
Oh, look at that. A new hat. Was that a Christmas present?
No, it was sort of a 2024 purchase. The last hat I bought, I think I bought in 2020. So it's like 4 years old and maybe older. And you can't really tell in this hat. There's little specks of like uh, color in there, just
Yeah.
little teeny
Okay.
colored specks.
Yeah.
When you get real sweaty, it starts to bleed a little, and that other hat's got a little bleed to it. So
Mhm.
it started to. So this is going to be the in studio hat. I'm going to try to keep this one nice enough, and then the other one's
All
going to
right.
go on the road and you lay under the
Yeah.
RV and
Yeah.
get drive into anything.
Best Christmas present, Doug. What'd you get? Best Christmas
Oh,
present.
I got this. I got a guitar.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a hollow. I got a
I
hollow. I was going to go grab it right now, but I'm just gonna. I won't
yeah.
because then I'll just want to play.
Yeah. I was pretty sure that I had won Christmas,
Mm,
and then it turned out Vanessa did, which means I won Christmas. I
better.
Vanessa had wanted to watch there's a new documentary that is not yet out, not yet available yet. It's called A Still Small Voice. It's about a hospital chaplain in
Mm,
New York City, and it's won some awards and it's doing the festival circuit right now. And so I had reached out to several friends who kind of work in that industry and said, "Hey, do you have a screener of this?" And everybody came back and said, "No, I don't." So I emailed the director and said, "Hey, would really love to see this. Would really love to give it to my wife as a Christmas present." And the director the next morning emailed me back with a Vimeo link and a password.
Come
and
on.
yeah, just so great, so great. So I thought, man, I have one Christmas, like this is it. And Vanessa opened that, and she was super excited. Then she said, "Okay, open your last present." And in that was a snow globe she had made, um, with the little figurine of the members of the great Irish band U2, and indicating that January 27th, Vanessa and I are going to be in Las Vegas at the Sphere to see U2 in concert at the Sphere.
Hands
I'm like,
down.
yeah, she won, which means I won. Yeah.
Wow. Well,
And
congratulations to you.
yeah. And we can maybe like avoid all, commentary on Bono and all of that, but
No, no, we can't.
big U2 fan, super excited to
I can't
go.
wait.
And
Can't wait to.
I have never been to Las Vegas before. So I've been in many places in the United States, been to many cities, and never been to Vegas. So
Well,
I'm super excited about that.
well, I wish I could say can't wait to hear about it, but I know how it goes. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
That's right.
We're not going to hear
We
about it.
say here, Vortex Pack, the little group I started with Chris Jones, who ran for governor. We have a little saying that what happens in Arkansas doesn't stay in Arkansas.
Oh, I see what
And
you did
that's
there.
why, yeah,
Nice, nice,
that's why
nice.
people need to support what we're doing.
Hey, this film director for the two things here. One, the film
Hmm.
director for.
Yeah,
Should we have that person on the podcast and talk about this film?
sure.
I mean, it's a
Yeah.
chaplain. It's somebody using
Um,
faith in public spaces. Feels like it
yeah,
fits right in. And if we
it's a
could get some help
very
with our documentary, that would be great.
yeah, that's right. It's very interesting. Yeah, I'll reach out to him. It did not go the way I expected. Um, it was pretty interesting.
Oh,
Mm.
do you still support the film?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it was
Okay, all right,
fascinating.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like an Enneagram 4 and an Enneagram 2 trying to get along and failing.
In the documentary, you mean?
Yeah, yeah. I
Oh,
mean,
well,
you're not supposed to type other people with the Enneagram, but you
who
know,
says that?
I think the
Nines,
chaplain the
Enneagram nines
chaplain
tell you not to type people. That's it. They're
that's
the only ones.
that's right. Yeah, the chaplain in training is like Enneagram 4 who
Mm-hmm. As they
and
are.
in the super yeah, I'm married to one. And the supervisor was Enneagram 2 who found the 4 kind of frustrating.
Mm.
And it didn't always go as well as you would hope.
Okay, now I'm
Yeah.
even more interested.
Yeah.
And just
Well,
one more
I've got
thing
a
before we
link.
move on to the importance of politics here.
Yeah.
Um, your wife Vanessa
Yes.
made a snow globe.
Yeah. I mean, she
How
bought like a
in
snow
God's
globe
name do you
kit.
make
I
a
don't know.
snow globe?
It's
I don't
behind.
know how they work. How do you put little things inside
Hold on.
of sealed things?
I'll
This
show you. I'll
you
show
you
you.
you grab it. I'm just going to keep talking as you know. You kind of have to do. Well, no, we don't have to on podcast. We could just wait. People can just pause and listen. Just hold on, everybody. Rob's going to grab something. There's no problem here.
Yeah, so
There he is.
she bought a snow globe kit and
What?
bought a silhouette, like a downloadable silhouette of the YouTube band, and cut this out of something or other. I don't know what she cut it out of, and then she put it in there along with glitter and water and
The cap just like
something.
screws on.
Oh,
It's like
oh, oh! And YouTube just came up. They just they just fell off.
they're
See,
floating.
I just broke it. Yeah, YouTube's floating.
Hey, these are to be
So
looked at, not played with.
yes, but this is a sphere because we're gonna see you two in the sphere.
Aha,
And,
cute,
yeah, yeah,
cute. The
but
globe.
it
You should refer to it as the globe when you're there. When everybody else
the
says the
globe.
sphere, you're like, no, no. We're
It's
from
the globe.
Arkansas. We call it the globe,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah,
round, unlike
yeah,
the normal globe.
yeah.
I feel like there's something banging around in my hat. All right, should we get to it, Rob Ryerse?
Let's get to it, Doug
Should
Pagitt.
we finally finally hit this up? A
I
number
don't
of
know.
things.
Is anything happened in the world
Well, uh, I
since
mean,
last we were together?
hardly worth talking about. Other than
Wow.
this, conservatives, Rob, are now boycotting Chick-fil-A
Why is that? Why, Doug?
because
Why?
they hired a diversity and inclusive person
Oh
at the corporate level.
goodness.
These people
Goodness.
now, first of all, okay, I'm not a huge, like, just generally boycott companies person. I think there's just
Yeah.
better ways around life. Um, but good golly, I mean, the way that conservatives are now saying that anybody who hires a diversity and inclusion person or
Mhm.
has that department is therefore the kind of company we won't
Well,
do business
yeah,
with.
as they say, go woke, go broke.
There you go. Go woke,
Yeah.
go broke. I didn't know that was a phrase. That
Yeah.
seems
Yeah, I
overly
think that's one that
overly clever for that crowd.
I think that's one that, occasionally human being Ron DeSantis says. Um,
Oh, good,
yeah,
good.
okay, so Chick-fil-A is
How about go broke, get out of the presidential race? When's
yeah,
he going to be
that's
saying that?
yeah, because yeah, you are broke. Um, do you have Chick-fil-A's in Minneapolis?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
think so.
Do
Yep,
you eat at Chick-fil-A? Do you
I have,
yeah, yeah.
but I don't only have for any reason other than it's always a long line. Well,
Oh,
I don't
always.
like their hiring policies. Yes,
Yeah.
but um, I don't tend to shop or not shop at places based on their hiring policies. Maybe I should. I just don't.
Yeah. Yeah, that it's a difficult thing once you start pulling at that thread of, conscious consumerism, it can be very, very difficult to find good chicken. Um, because you might want to, like, boycott Home Depot because they're big Trump supporter. The president of Home Depot is a big Trump supporter, and then you find
Mhm.
out that the guy at Lowe's is too, and then you're like, where am I going to go? What am I going to do? Yeah, Chick-fil-A. Oh man, the hate makes the chicken taste so good. Oh,
Well, I'll tell you,
so
I ate there not 2 weeks ago.
yeah,
Didn't
yeah.
care for it. Did not care for it. Did
Oh,
not think it was a great quality chicken sandwich.
yeah.
I'm
Well,
not. I don't want to get in the chicken sandwich wars. This
yeah,
feels like
yeah,
2008 all over again, or
yeah. That's
whenever that
right.
was. But I didn't
Yeah,
personally prefer it. It was
yeah.
like,
There's two things at Chick-fil-A. Well, more than two. There's many things at Chick-fil-A that I really like. The chicken nuggets with Polynesian sauce. Yeah,
okay.
that's a go-to.
I just went
That's
like
good.
number one off the menu,
Yeah, yeah.
thinking that's
Chicken
the way to
nuggets with
go.
Polynesian sauce. The waffle fries at
Mm,
Chick-fil-A are fantastic as far as waffle fries go. Um, the in the summer, a frosted lemonade. Mm, so good. Uh, However, our Chick-fil-A, we have several here in Northwest Arkansas. The one in Fayetteville, um, they knocked the building down and are building a new one that will have a new traffic pattern. So our primary Chick-fil-A is closed, for the time being until they build a whole new building.
wow.
They were going to put it right on the same spot, so they just knocked it down and are building a new building. Have you noticed this trend lately with fast food restaurants that they're very skinny?
Yeah,
This
and
is
very
like a like
minimalist. Yeah.
the like the buildings are very
Mm-hmm.
skinny, and they're
Mm-hmm.
they're doing that, and so. But you're right, the line is just ridiculous, especially at this particular one that's in a parking lot and of a shopping plaza, and it just the line is just
Yeah, and they have a
ridiculous.
person out taking your order from you into an iPad, at least the one that
Yeah,
I went to.
yeah,
Like, you don't talk
yeah,
into an intercom and talk to
right,
the
no.
parents
It's
of Charlie Brown. You
yeah,
are
it's like yeah, it's like a 15-year-old is out there,
yeah.
who's been coached to say my pleasure, and, yeah.
Hmm,
Hmm,
yeah. I mean, I hope
yeah.
they're not literally saying my pleasure without prompting. I hope they're not like,
That would
"It
be weird.
really is my pleasure just to take your order." Like,
Like,
"You need to
"Can I
get
take your order, please?"
you need
You
to increase
say,
your pleasure
"Give
center."
me a 12-piece chicken nuggets meal with Polynesian sauce and a Sprite," and they reply, "My pleasure," and that's just a little bit creepy.
Hey, a couple weeks ago, you helped all of us with the difference between less and few or more and less or something. I don't know,
Yeah,
there's some English grammar thing.
yeah,
When you order at a restaurant, do you ever say, which I think you said there in the sort of the role play, give me a chicken sandwich? Or why don't you
yeah.
give me, really?
Give
Gimme,
me a
gimme a,
gimme? I don't gimme
gimme
a
a, gimme
give
a,
me a
give
I
me,
don't
give it to me,
I'll
give
take
me.
a I'll take a
I mean, my gosh, I'm not an overly polite person. I think I'm very average polite.
Yeah, yeah,
Appropriate times for a thank you,
yeah,
appropriate times for a hi, how are you? Like
mhm,
in the morning, Shelly and I
yeah.
will say good morning. But by mid-afternoon, we're not greeting each other anymore, right? It's like that's past, the greeting sort of has to have a duration,
Mhm,
between
mhm, yeah.
the time you've
And
seen someone.
when Vanessa gets home from work later today, I will greet her.
Yeah, hi, how was work? Right, right. But
Yeah.
then by 8 o'clock tonight, if you walk through the kitchen, she's there. You're not gonna be like, hi, right? You get to just walk by.
I'm going to.
Just every time you see her, well, hello, how are you? She's like, did you and Doug have a podcast today? Are you doing a bit right now? Are you doing
Yeah.
a
Oh,
shtick?
totally. Yeah.
But, okay, so I don't think I'm overly polite. I think I'm
You've never
appropriately
said
polite.
"Gimme a"?
When I get to a fast food restaurant, and I don't know if this was a childhood message or something, it's like,
Yeah.
no, no, no. You ask, you don't tell.
Oh,
Could I have? I would
may
like to
I,
order. May I? Please. And
please?
I hear
Wow.
other people, none of that burden at all. Yeah, why don't you give me a number three? I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, it just, there's something
Well,
in me
yeah,
as not somebody who's overly prim and proper, as you can attest. It's just like, wow, that
yeah.
really is a thing that just, we all have it. I guess we all have things in our brains that are just
Mm,
like, what's
yeah,
normal and what's not normal. And why
yeah,
don't you give
yeah,
me a,
like, I don't wear sweatpants in public.
what do you wear?
Pants.
Oh, I thought you were naked. I mean, from where I live,
No, like, it's not a like, yeah, I was raised that it's not appropriate to leave the house in sweatpants,
wow. Okay. Okay.
which I
See,
I know is not a rule that you live by.
no,
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 I have traveled the country with you
no.
and know that sweatpants are your go-to.
Oh, yeah.
Probably wearing some right now.
No.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so yeah. So if progressives boycott Chick-fil-A because of their hiring practices, because of their anti-LGBT stands, their political donations, and conservatives boycott Chick-fil-A because they have a DEI department now. Uh, Pretty much like everybody else gets to keep Chick-fil-A open. Is that
Apparently
moderates
the
are gonna?
apparently the
It,
70% of the country still gets to go to Chick-fil-A.
all right,
And those of us on the edges just
yeah,
got to suffer through another Thai meal. All
that's
right.
right.
Uh, all right. Also in the news,
Yeah.
barely in the news, but worth it for our audience. This should be newsworthy. There's a radio show on This American Life called the radio show on NPR called This American Life.
Mhm.
Terrific 1 hour long radio show. If you've never heard it, there's a little treasure waiting for you.
Oh yeah, turn this ridiculousness off right now and go listen to that.
Yeah, yeah. If you got an hour and you've never listened to
Yeah.
This American Life, grab your phone or your computer and change it. Their episode 2 weeks ago called "It Wouldn't Be Make Believe If You'd Believe in Me" is about, their title is "A Major Political Party in a Major Swing State." So it's the Republicans in Michigan bet on a new leader, a political outsider. How does it work out for them? That's how they frame it. But what it really is there's a hostile takeover for the party in Michigan, and they
Yeah.
introduce you to the people involved. Zoe Chase is the reporter. Spends months and months and months there, deep inside of it. It's a full-on Christian nationalist takeover. The person who's running it now has no political experience. They've
Yep.
weeded out people with political experience, and it
Yeah.
is a ground zero, Michigan overall, but specifically the Republican Party, of much of what we talk about here.
Yeah.
And I
Is
will
this
just encourage you
is
to give yourself an hour. We might try to find a way, if we don't get in big trouble, to just play it here on our podcast. And
ooh,
I don't
ooh,
know how
wow.
I don't know
No,
what
I
the
don't
rules are.
I don't know if we could do that. Is this the person who borrowed $100,000 from her husband's business to pay a speaker fee for Jim Caviezel to speak
Oh,
to
yes,
the
it would be.
Michigan Republicans?
They didn't talk about that, but they talked about the
Mm,
fact that they had speakers' fees that weren't paid,
mhm.
um, and that they were in debt, and they didn't say. Then they later said, that the speakers had been paid, but they didn't say how. So yes, that's the place, that's the thing.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
just
I skimmed an article about, how the Republican Party of Michigan is just falling apart, and frankly, love to see it.
oh, it's
Because Michigan's a critical remains a critical state, remains a swing state, and, if the Republican political apparatus
yeah,
in Michigan is infighting and, ineffective, fantastic. That's good news for the country.
yep. But this thing is worth a listen. So find your way over there, and it was bolstering for us in the work that we are up to. Hey, and speaking of
Speaking of
Christmas,
Christians,
Donald Trump in a holiday greeting to
this guy.
America for Christmas says that those who are opposed to him want to destroy America, and he hopes they quote rot in hell. Donald
Mhm.
Trump
Yeah,
hoping that people rot in hell.
yeah. To celebrate the savior who came to, according to the narrative,
Yeah,
to, save us from hell.
yeah. So peace on earth, all. And
Yeah,
to those of
this
you who
is
oppose
this
me,
is
may you
good
rot in hell.
news of great joy, which will be to all people.
To all peoples, even those of you who will be rotting in hell because you opposed me. I mean, this
Yeah,
man's just there truly, I know we say it over and over, no bounds to the nonsense and the
no,
horribleness.
yeah,
And the fact that, pushing 70% of self identified evangelicals and 55, 60% of self identified Catholics say, oh no, he's still our guy. It's just remarkable.
yes, of
I
course he
mean,
is.
God bless the faithful. They will not be easily shaken. They will
Yeah.
they will hold their faith deeply. So we're going to roll up on Donald Trump, and we're going to ask supporters and others: do they agree with the president on important matters like hoping that people who disagree politically will rot in hell? It's just this man, this man,
Yeah,
this man, this
and,
man.
and Joe Biden's response to, Donald Trump's comment that people should rot in hell?
A reminder that we need to love our enemies. And yet, to all the Christians who support Donald
Mm,
Trump, he is the Christian example, and Joe Biden is not. One saying rot in
yeah,
hell, the other saying love your enemies.
yeah.
Now, I don't care if our president's a Christian or not. Don't care.
Right, I don't either.
Don't particularly want.
Mhm.
I know a lot of Christians.
Yep,
I am one. I know many. Being Christian or not being Christian does not make you a good president.
yep,
Don't care.
yeah,
Um, I don't oppose Donald Trump because of his faith or lack thereof. I bring
right.
up the fact that he's a mockery of the very things that the people who tend to support him loudest say that they hold to. And
Mhm.
our concern is not the faith of the president, it's the faithful actions of
Yeah,
the voters.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing says, "Happy holidays, Merry Christmas," quite like "rot in hell."
Right now,
Yeah,
you
that's gonna
miserable
replace
hypocrites.
it's gonna replace the Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays debate.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a whole swath of people who say "rotten hell,"
Yeah.
and they'll probably drive through the Chick-fil-A drive-through and say "rotten hell" to the poor 15-year-old who's trying to take their order.
Yeah, when they say, "Hey, why don't you give me a number 4 and the Persian sauce for the nuggets
Polynesian.
or for
Mhm,
the
mhm,
Polynesian sauce for the"
mhm.
they call them nuggets? Can they call them that?
Yeah. They can't call 'em McNuggets.
Oh, for the nuggets and, will that complete your order? Yes, it will. Uh, well it's my pleasure, and rot in hell,
Rot in hell. Mhm. Yeah.
because now we
Rot
know
yeah.
that's what the chosen one tells us how we're supposed to greet people at Christmas. The chosen one said, "Rot in hell." So we'll
Oh,
stay in
goodness.
peace and rot in hell.
Yeah.
We go right down the line. Oh, he just but in light of all that, Rob, still this
Yeah.
headline, Senate
Yeah.
Republicans now are starting to come out and pick
Yep.
who they're supporting, and they're picking Donald Trump. The very
Yep.
people who we want to believe, and I do over and over, will do the right thing, are
Yeah.
throwing their weight behind him.
Yeah.
Here's what I wonder, Rob. Think this one through with me. I know it's gonna sound a little bit like a red hat, blue hat conversation here, but
Mhm.
the Trumpers say this very often. No judge who has said that they don't support Donald Trump can fairly rule over Donald Trump in a court of law.
Yeah.
They can't do it. They're biased. When senators are asked to be the jury to impeach Donald Trump and they have said publicly, I support him, should they have recused themselves? Isn't that the logic that anybody in an official capacity that's going to use your official capacity to determine the guilt or innocence of someone like Donald Trump cannot do it if they've already expressed their opinion of Donald Trump? Apparently
Yes.
not. Apparently not,
Yeah.
because apparently these senators, if Donald Trump, no, block your ears if you don't want to hear possibilities, does attain the presidency again,
Oh, yeah.
and he's then later impeached, which he will be for actions, and those senators can't then say I can fairly adjudicate this decision because I've said that I support him. I mean, this is
Yeah.
the logic that comes out
Yes.
of this crowd. It's just simply remarkable.
Yeah. So Donald Trump, I think before we took our little holiday hiatus, he had been kicked off the ballot in Colorado because the Colorado Supreme Court ruled that he was not eligible to be president of the United States because he had inspired and aided an insurrection. Um, we got news that Maine, the Maine Secretary of State, has made the same decision, and many people are responding, including many Democrats, are saying, you know what, we need to let voters decide. This shouldn't be decided by voters. This should be decided by judges. Should be decided by voters. And Nate Bell, who is a former Arkansas state legislator who I think now works for Asa Hutchinson, said this, and I retweeted his tweet because he's right on the money. This is what he said: "Don't tell me let the voters decide. They did in 2020, and we already know what happened. Trump is getting disqualified because the voters decided, and
Mm,
then he tried to overturn the results and install himself as the
mm.
unelected dictator in place of the duly elected president." And I think Nate is right, spot on the money. I
That's an answer,
absolutely
yeah.
want voters to reject Donald Trump again in 2024, but he's being tossed off the ballot in Colorado and Maine and maybe other states because voters made a decision that he refused to comply with.
Nice.
And so, this whole let voters decide argument um,
Yeah.
it's just a spurious one.
Amen. Look, we have qualifications for roles of elected office. And if he's not qualified, then voters don't get to pick him. It's that
Yeah.
simple. I don't know why people make this more complicated. Truly,
Yes.
on all the sides. That's not
Yes.
it. And if you
You.
don't think the judge is the one to determine the
Yeah.
eligibility, fair enough. Figure out
Yeah.
who is in your world. And then when they decide, that's that. And that's not taking anything from voters. There are lots of people you don't get to vote for because they
Yes.
cannot be on a ballot. So the argument let voters decide is just like, look, I don't want him thrown off the ballot because I hope that the American people have a chance to reject him. And I hope that Republicans show themselves for who they are. It would be better if we had a chance. But if he doesn't qualify, then he doesn't qualify. And should he qualify as an insurrectionist? That's not my determination to make whether he could legally be considered an insurrectionist by the 14th Amendment standard. If people do make that decision, then that's that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. It really, really, yeah. And you know who really suffers under this? The person having to ride in an RV with me for 36 hours while I rant about this over and over. Yeah,
Oh,
it's just because we just kept hearing
can,
these news stories. They were big news stories. The Secretary of State of Maine, and uh, yeah. Um, all right,
Hey, throw up the squirrely preppers comment there about the movie Civil War. Have you seen the trailer for this movie?
I have not.
The movie Civil War is coming out Um,
Okay.
and looks super interesting. I saw a trailer for it when I went to see the Iron Claw, which was a have you seen about the Iron Claw? It tells the story of the Von Erich family,
No,
uh,
I would love to.
professional wrestlers who had just a horrible, horrible string of events, and
Hmm.
kind of dealing with the idea that maybe there was a curse on their family with.
I don't want to see stories about bad things happening to people.
Well, it's a true story, and
I
bad
don't
things
care.
happen to the Von
No,
Erichs.
I
Yeah.
don't want to know about it.
Um,
Ruins my perfect world.
yeah. So this Civil War movie, saw the trailer. Nick Offerman playing the president of the United States, which was a great bit of casting there. Looks super interesting, set in the future, in the midst of a civil war. The trailer made me want to see this flick, and
Excellent.
my hope is that this movie is less a prediction of what is to come and more will be treated more as a warning that, like, people go, oh, we actually don't want this to happen.
Yeah.
Like, this would be bad. Yeah. And and yeah, Yabbit says Nikki Haley should see the movie because she clearly has no real understanding of what causes civil wars. That just remarkable, remarkable comments from Nikki Haley, talking about how the first Civil War was caused because of people of liberty and government gets involved, and it's just,
Yeah.
and
And
didn't use the word slavery to describe what caused the, came right up to the line of saying the Civil War was the war of northern aggression, uh, against the South. Just ridiculous stuff.
hey, man, look, Nikki Haley's comments were horrible because of what
Yeah.
she didn't say,
Yes.
right? Like, um, th- the reason there was a civil war was because states in a decided union chose to break away from the union. The reason they broke away from the union was to preserve slavery. We should say all of those things. We can have whatever amount of shorthand you want. Fair enough.
Yep.
It's about slavery. It was about preserving the union. Okay. But the answer, when a voter asks you, should be states like South Carolina said we are seceding from the Union to preserve slavery. I was the governor of South Carolina. I know what that is. And what was going on then was a war to preserve the Union. In fact, Lincoln even said, maybe we have to preserve slavery to preserve the Union. Let's figure it out. That was what they were trying to do. And the reason that people were seceding from the Union and the reason that the northern states had to act in ways to hold the Union together was that slaveholding states did not want to give up slavery. That's the answer, right? It's not accurate to say that it was simply about slavery, right? It wasn't northern states attacking southern states to make them change their laws. That's not what was going on. Some people might think that's what was going on. It's what southern people tend to say when they call it an act of northern aggression. They were coming down here telling us that's not what it was. It wasn't specifically about slavery itself for northern states. It was for southern states because they were trying to preserve slavery. But northern states were all over whether they should force the South to change their laws or not. That was still up in the air. Lincoln was all over the place, even up till the Civil War period of time. So, yes, it's
Mhm.
more complicated. She gets credit for there's a lot. She doesn't get any credit for what do you want me to say about it? It's really about government overreach. Like, no, it's not
No.
really
N-
about that. It's
no.
really about how do we preserve a
Yeah.
union? How do we preserve a
Yes.
nation when some of the people in the nation want to hold other people as private property that they can use and abuse and
Yes.
murder? That's
Yes.
what it's
And
about.
the way she framed it when she talked
Unbelievable.
about personal freedom and liberty, um, it didn't make it sound she didn't make it sound like she was concerned about the liberty of enslaved people,
Yeah.
them being personally free. She
Nice.
really made it sound like she was concerned about the liberty of slaveholders to continue to do what they wanted to do without the government telling them not to. Just
Incredible.
inarticulate, inarticulate, horrific political gaffe
Oh,
on Nikki Haley's
look,
part.
to a person who wants to be the president of the United States, who in the invoking the narrative of the Civil War was the one who had to decide whether the country engaged in a civil war. She wants that job. She is the former governor of the state that first signed the papers to secede from the Union.
Yeah.
She had the job of the people who seceded and couldn't, of all the people running for office, she is singularly set to answer that question with a level of informed precision that could have benefited everyone. Instead, what do you want me to say about it? Well, don't. I mean, even when he said this question to her, she's like, "Well, don't start with an easy one."
Yeah, and then
And
well, what do
Miss
you
Haley, you
think?
want to be.
What do you
What do you
think?
think?
And the
What are you
reply
even
was,
getting
"I'm
at?
not running for president of the United States."
Yeah, I need to know where you are, so I know how you want me to answer this question. Like,
Yeah.
Miss Haley, this should be a standard question now. Apparently, this needs to be standardized to all
Yes.
candidates. What was the cause of the Civil War? And frankly, if anybody doesn't, to my mind, to my satisfaction, to my palate, talk about states leaving the Union to preserve slavery and others trying to preserve the Union to invoke those states to maintain a nation and not
Yep.
to abandon the nation for the purpose of supporting states that want to own black people as private property. That's the answer. And
Yes.
I sure hope what I hope doesn't happen, which was starting to happen, was people saying, no. The answer to this one reasonable answer, and it is one word: slavery. What was the cause of the Civil War? One word: slavery. Okay, that is great shorthand. I'm glad to use
Mhm.
it because what I mean by that one word, it's a header to a paragraph that explains what's going on and why slavery was being held in some states and not in other states and how we're going to preserve a union because that question is still the question. What becomes the thing for all of the states and what doesn't when it comes to human rights? This is why the Supreme Court was wrong on the Roe versus Wade overturning on the Dobbs
Mhm.
decision, because these are not things that we should be having happen at a state level.
Right. Exactly.
And that wasn't even one of our topics. I didn't even have a slide for
Mhm.
that one. That's not even that
Yeah.
wasn't even one of these. But we did have a slide for was the the federal appeals court denies the former president, lead insurrectionist, and convicted defamer based on his rape actions, Donald Trump. The federal appeals court denies Donald Trump's effort to delay E. Jean Carroll's civil trial. She's taking him back to trial again for doing the very same thing that he was just found
Mhm.
guilty of doing. And they're
Yep.
saying it's going to keep rolling.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
91 indictments, multiple civil convictions. And as God is my witness, the man could become the president of the United States with that in the background.
It's unbelievable.
It's
It's un
unbelievable.
it's
The
unbelievable.
standard that Republicans and Trumpers have driven, the lowering of the standards that has been driven to is just simply incredible.
Goodness sakes. Yeah, I got nothing left to say about
Okay.
any of that.
Um, Hamas says that a senior leader of theirs was killed in southern Beirut, and
Mm.
the war that the nation of Israel continues to execute against Hamas, that is racking up casualties, is going to be a major question of the next 2 or 3 months in American politics, and it's not going well. You're never going to kill your way out of this.
Mm.
There's just some things that you don't kill your way out of, and military conflicts. And when you're attacked as a nation, the solution is not killing them all.
Yes.
And Israel is
Yes.
taking the approach that we will win by killing them all.
Yeah. Yep.
Just,
Yep. We remain here in the United States, and our our older little brother over there in Israel, just completely smitten with the myth of redemptive violence, that the way to victory is overwhelming force, shock and awe,
Yep.
and it is horrible to see and horrible to watch.
Let's just be clear. If since October 18th, and I don't know when the military assault on Hamas in the Palestinian lands started, I think 2 weeks later, 10 days later.
Mhm,
So let's say somewhere around the end of November or the end of October.
mhm.
If whatever Israel has been doing militarily in November and December did not serve to dismantle Hamas, if Hamas is still a threat, then that's telling us that Israel had not been fully prepared to dismantle Hamas. How could Hamas, which was so struggling on October 17th, that the kind of attack they pulled off was the barbaric style that they engaged in? Now, after 60 days of bombing and war and invasions, still too strong, still afraid? If you stopped right now, you still think Hamas is coming after you? At this point, in my mind, they're now just into retribution.
Yeah,
Now it's not protection. Now it is simply punishment. And that's why so many people are reaching the point where they're saying the international community has to speak up and just say, if your plan is the elimination of Hamas, how do you measure that? What is the measurement here? Because no war has ever been won by the elimination of all of your opponents. I don't know. It is utterly bizarre to me with the highest level of consequence that we
mhm,
have, and I'm glad to
yeah,
see that the Biden administration is speaking out about it. I'm glad to see they're saying this. You need a different plan, and I hope they'll put some teeth behind it. But not
yeah,
every politician in America, let alone every person in America, agrees on this.
yeah,
Which is true about war. Let's
yeah,
just be honest about the fact that anytime there's a military conflict,
yeah,
the typical lines of demarcation don't serve us as well as
yeah.
we might think they do.
Yeah, and I mean, one politician in particular who has kind of used this conflict as an opportunity to kind of break with the stereotype about him is the senator from Pennsylvania, John Fetterman, who
Mhm.
is 100% behind Israel and been very vocally so, and much of the response to that has been, "Hey, I thought you were a progressive Democrat," and his response has been, "No, I'm not a progressive. I never claimed to be a progressive. I'm just a Democrat, not a progressive," which is which is really interesting because John Fetterman really did talk about being a progressive, talked about progressive ideas, and there's a weird shift happening here with the hoodie and shorts wearing guy from Pennsylvania, and yeah, it's I don't, what do you make of this shift from John Fetterman, Doug?
Uh, it seems to me that Fetterman was benefiting from people labeling
Hmm.
him as a progressive.
Yeah,
I mean, I followed it fairly closely, not
yeah,
word for word. I
yeah,
can't tell you if there were times where he said this or that, but we were there. I've had John Fetterman signs at my feet while he was recovering from a stroke in 2020, and we were touring Pennsylvania and asking voters to consider him
hmm,
if they've never thought about that before. But he benefited from people saying he's a progressive.
hmm.
His opinion and positions on certain topics led that way. So I don't know if he's been like, look, I mean, I'm just picking up bonus points because people, it's that's working right now, and now it's not working, or now he doesn't want the label progressive or not. I don't
Yeah,
know.
or he's not on the ballot for another 5 years, so he figures he'll have opportunity to repair things with the more left wing of the Democratic Party in Pennsylvania.
And
But
look,
it's a
I don't.
weird shift. It's a surprise of, like, if you were to say, like, who's gonna be someone who shifts to the right during the course of their term, I'm not sure John Fetterman would have been on the list.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, it's enough to make you think. What did he get a big book contract and become a millionaire or something? And now all of a sudden he's got to reconsider things. You know, there's an old joke from one of the casinos here in the area. These big billboards that said, "Walk in a Democrat, walk out a Republican." Big jackpots.
That's a fantastic billboard. That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. That's a pretty good line, right? You're gonna win so much money, you're gonna become a Republican.
Yeah,
I look, I don't know, but I am personally moved by and unsure of what that category means. I say I'm a progressive evangelical, a progressive Christian all the
yeah,
time. I don't know what a progressive Democrat is. I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah,
I don't understand what it is qualifying. Here's what I will say about myself. I don't like it when progressive or conservative is used as the the well, I gotta get my English phrase right. The adjective, or it's that it's not a
mhm.
qualifier, that it is the
The
noun.
noun,
It's the
like, I
noun.
am a
I am,
progressive.
yeah. Yeah. That I am,
Yeah,
yeah, I am a progressive, or I am progressive. Like that statement, if, I think conservative and progressive should qualify something
yeah,
as opposed to being the noun.
yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, the word progressive has morphed over the years, that, progressive, some people use progressive to as a distinction from, a liberal, and, in
Yes.
terms of, particular policies, whether it's Medicare for all or Green New Deal or those kinds of things that are progressive issues, um, that you would find associated with, like, the Squad, or folks like that, Bernie Sanders. But at the same time, those who others would call liberal or even moderate
Hmm.
Democrats, like a Hillary Clinton, or call them the word progressive or the word liberal was had so much baggage that they were looking for a new word, and progressive became the word. So so now there's a lot of people who 5 years ago would call themselves progressives that now call themselves leftists, and
Hmm.
it's
Hmm.
just
Yeah.
the language is constantly moving, and you know
Yeah. Larry uses the phrase the way that I liked it when I remember watching uh, um, one of the morning news shows, Meet the Press or something, when someone made an argument about why they want to use progressive versus liberal. And they just said it's a different word in English. It describes a different set of characteristics. And they said what Larry put in the chat, which is progressive means to move forward as opposed to regressive, to go back, or to stay, keep things as they are. So
yeah,
they were making an argument for a political view that said, let's make progress on all
yeah,
issues the thing
yeah,
we're up to. And the
yeah.
progress doesn't necessarily mean liberal or conservative. It just means let's move in the
Well,
positive direction, but
yeah,
not stay where we are.
yeah,
That's a
but
different
even
way it's used
yeah,
now then versus now.
even the idea of conservative has that idea of conserving
Mhm,
a
mhm,
particular approach of keeping
mhm.
the status quo, and yeah, so it does seem like it might be a better counterbalance to conservative, um, to say progressive, and John Fetterman's just saying, "Nah, not me."
Yeah.
Next, I mean, when he shows up wearing a blue suit and a red tie, then we'll know something's really happened.
Yeah, but what well, what kind of progressive is he? Let's just ask ourselves. Is he the, as Jim puts in the chat, the pot smoking kind of liberal progressive from the 60s? Because it kind of looks like, or is he the modern, like, AOC type,
AOC, yeah,
and Rashid Tlaib, who's like, they get their shit together. Those people are like making it happen, right? Like they're not bro slapping. They are like,
mhm,
we are going to make policy that's going to advance the country in very, you
yep,
know, clear directions that are going to drive the country forward. And John's got he's got a sweatpants kind of vibe going. The guy. Do
Yeah.
you think, as was put in the chat, there's any connection between wanting to change the dress code and this? I'm not a progressive. I'm just a Democrat.
He's trying to
Uh,
cozy up to, the Joe Mansions of the Senate, you know?
did he get a letter from the squad that said, "Hey, you in for the dress code shift? We really need you to back off from the progressive label. Like, we're just
That's
not
right,
willing to
that's
give it
right,
to you anymore." Like,
that's right.
maybe
We
orders came down, and he's like, "I got
Yeah.
don't mind me." Well,
Yeah,
look, whether you're progressive, conservative, staticist, on the roadist, stay at homist, I guess all we can say is, may you rot in hell. I mean, I think that's all we could. From the president's former
uh,
president's lips.
yeah.
Um, hey, is that good? Are we
So
done?
yeah, well, let me ask you, Doug, for our faithful listeners, what's the podcast plan once we're on the road?
To be determined how we do
Mhm.
it. I mean, the hope, the plan, the dream is to be able to do it from the road, from the RV, or from
From a Hampton Inn room,
Hampton
a
Hampton Inn
room
room.
in a Hampton Inn.
That's the plan. The thing is that some days, Tuesdays, like 2 weeks from today, we're going to be running an event in Davenport, Iowa, on a Tuesday morning. Well,
Yep,
Tuesday at noon. But hold tight, folks. You may not have us in this format, but we will likely, almost guaranteedly, live stream that event. So we'll still be putting this stuff out, but what you've all come to know and love, the comfort food that is this podcast, might not always be available in this format, but the feed will be full, we assure you, when we are
absolutely.
on the road. Unlike when we take a break, it's a
Yeah,
different kind of shift. So, going to do the best we can, and would love to uh, have you find yourself, off of your couch and onto the Davenport of Iowa if you find yourself over there. So keep up on our stuff, and know that
yeah,
if you know some friends in the, as Yabbits puts in the chat, the Davenport is part of the Quad Cities. I live in a twin cities. Some people live in the tri-state area. They call this part of the country the Quad Cities. There are 4 cities that basically are right there. I think two in each state, Iowa and Illinois. Maybe it's divided differently, but anyway, they're all part of the same metro area, but they span 2 states. And and then yeah, but it's the same. Make sure we make it to the Oscar Mayer plant. There's no doubt, because we could put our bus next to the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile. That would be the best. Because if choice came down to it, which vehicle would you get in? You'd get in the Wienermobile. Um,
fantastic.
all right. Well, hey, the Squirrely Prepper Lifestyle says she's there in Indiana, and we'll be rolling through or nearby Indiana. So send an email to Doug at Vote Common Good, Squirrely Prepper Lifestyle, and let us know where you are if you want to stop, want us to swing by and say hello if the schedule allows. We love a truck stop pop in when
Yeah,
somebody
we do.
somebody stopped us in a parking lot of like a mall, and said, "Hey, I follow you guys on Facebook. Can't believe the bus is right here
Yeah.
in my my mall."
That was in Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Is that right? Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
great.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, we love nothing more than that. In
Yep.
fact, if the cameras were out and ready to go, and you just walked up and said, "Hey, you guys are here," and it was all prepped ahead of time, that would be a very squirrely prepper style for us. So, all right, is that good, Rob Ryerse? Is that good, everybody? Is that good,
That's good.
Larry and Yabbits and Alex,
Reverend Vince,
Reverend Vince, Jim,
Jim.
Deborah? Hi, Deborah. Nice to see you. Uh, Boy, I feel like I missed some of these. I would have put some of these up there, but
Yeah,
I got so
and
enthralled with the
Doug, I was listening to a
conversation.
podcast where that is originally begins on YouTube, and and the podcast host kept talking about the super chats that were happening
Mhm.
and the dollar amounts that people were donating, and it reminded me of a time when Jim would hit us with the $1.50 super chat, and during this podcast, someone kicked in a $500 super chat. And it made me think, like, I feel
In
like we're
this
not on the podcast I was listening to, not the one that's happening
Oh,
right now with us.
jeez.
Um, and it made me think like I feel like we need to be monetizing this little thing a little better.
Great point. Hey, if you want a super chat, go over to votecommongood.com and click on the donate button. I mean, you can send it through Google by super chatting here if you got. I think we have. I don't actually know if we're monetized on. If it's be monetized, they don't let you monetize live streams in the way we do it. You got to go in and do a little tricky dicky thing
Yeah.
to make it happen. But anyway,
Yeah.
we don't. You run it through the YouTube Spaces. We do it through the links on our
Yeah.
website. But you are right. We need to figure that out. How
Yeah.
to super chat that thing, because if somebody would super chat us $500, I mean
Oh,
that's not a full tank of gas of diesel. Because friends, there are four things that get us around this country:
faith,
faith,
hope, love, and
diesel. And we'd
diesel.
love to have you in the tank with us. So we'd love to see you at the back table back there. If you'd like to make a contribution, we'd be glad to send you home with a hat or a T-shirt. That's literally from the shtick that is about to fire right back up. We need to make an "I'm in the tank with Vote Common Good" shirt.
Yeah, with a picture of the bus on it. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm in the tank.
Yeah. That's a good
We
one.
have so many shirts we need to be producing.
Yeah. Squirrely Prepper's done. She's y'all are just this is just happy talk now. She
Yeah.
just said bye.
Bye everyone. Well, goodbye to you. Yeah, thank you, Vince. It is muscle memory. Okay, y'all. We'll see you down the road. Hey, tomorrow is Wednesday. The podcast tomorrow is going to include the producers of another podcast. One of them, his name is Trip Fuller. The other's name is Tony Jones. He just launched a podcast called Emerged, the story of the emerging church from the 90s
Yes.
and
If
2000s.
you want to see some old pictures of Doug Pagitt, I got an email from Trip and Tony advertising Emerged, and there was an old picture of
Is it
Doug
me
Pagitt.
next to Mark Driscoll where I'm holding my knee up to my chest? With that one?
I
Okay.
don't know.
Okay. So anyway, that they've released this podcast called Emerged. And they're going to come on this podcast and talk about their podcast, why they put it together. So I mean, nothing says 2024 like a podcast about a podcast. about as meta as you get. So yeah, we will have them on. That'll be happening tomorrow, I think at 10 a.m. Central Time.
Yep.
Check the calendar. Okay. Goodbye now. See y'all later. You know what we need? We need going out music for YouTube, especially, so that it can be like, we need like a thing at the end so people can stop, but then they don't just immediately roll into a new video. I found this to be helpful. I watch a lot of YouTube videos. When they end too close and I want to listen to the last word of something, and then it ends and it too quickly rolls into a new one. So stop listening now if you're on YouTube or on a podcast or something. It's going to give you time. It's going to be an outro. Remember, Rob, when TV shows had not only theme songs at the beginning, but they had them at the end.
Yeah, and they would show snapshots from the episode.
Yeah.
Vanessa and I have been watching Moonlighting, and they do that.
Oh, you've been watching Moonlighting. How does it hold up?
Yeah. Not great.
But
it was one of those shows that like I wasn't allowed to watch as a kid, so like I'm intrigued.
Oh yeah. Was it a laugh track show? I can't remember.
No.
Okay. I'm surprised now when I go back and watch old shows. Sometimes I'm like, why was there a laugh track on this show? And they're so obvious, like a laugh track. Because I don't think we use those anymore. I don't know.
Maybe we need a laugh track as our outro.
Oh my gosh. How do we get a laugh? Yeah. Now I gotta download something. I bet that's great. Not great at all. No, first of its kind. Oh, I think Vince is referring to how
Moonlighting holds
up. Yeah. As opposed to a commentary on the Common Good podcast, which also shockingly would work. It
doesn't hold up.
It could work right here.
Go back and listen to the archives.
Not great at all. No, first of its kind. Just please laugh. Yeah. Yeah, please applaud. You can applaud. All right. So this is just all outro music. That's all. We're just trying to give people a chance to let it go. And I need like another screen to put on, you know? Not that. Whoa. Greatest hits. I hope people didn't. Hope people aren't leaving because they just missed the best part.
This is gold right here. Gold, Jerry.
If we finally do make a little super cut of this for socials, which we're going to start doing, by the way, also making a little this for TikTok. It's like a minute out of the podcast. That's going to be good. I think it needs to be those. I think it needs to be that. All right. Hey, and Vince Anderson, if you're still here, if you've got
come get on the bus with us.
if you've got a recording or anything of a song we could use for our intro music, we'd be glad to, or outro music if you got something laying around in that laptop of yours.
And come get on the bus with us, Vince.
There we go. He's gonna do it. All right. Okay, everybody. We'll see you. We're leaving now for good. I'm gonna click the finish button. Bye. Now you got to pause, or it does the very thing we did.